feel like this. Can an algorithm be an asshole?
Okay, yeah.
Can a card be an asshole?
Yeah. I don't know. There's just like a big topic of discussion recently. I'm not an expert on it, but obviously there's a general idea that Silicon Valley is full of young men who are not afraid of being harassed on the internet. So they create these platforms that don't have any protections for young women or anyone who might be targeted by like, the majority. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Your response is kind of the opposite of the question, which is to talk about the platform that made the algorithm rather than to place the agency on the algorithm or the responsibility on the algorithm. So yeah, somebody making an algorithm can be an asshole. Somebody can make an algorithm that creates an asshole character, which now, so that you're referencing the Tay bot, the Microsoft made a teen girl bot, which was gamed by horrible people on the internet to say horrible things in support of Trump and Hitler, and which is interesting. If you wanted a game of bot to be as bad, they picked Hitler and Trump. And and so the responsibility here comes when you make a bot or make an algorithm that can be gamed to go around tweeting awful things. That is awful. That's the thing you shouldn't do. And a lot of these algorithms, they spin out of control. People make something and they don't know what the algorithm is going to do. It's like Google. Google's had some just absolute disasters with you'll search something and the wrong thing comes up. They had one just recently compared black people and gorillas. And nobody at Google was like, oh, I've got a funny thing I'm going to program into here. This was a series of events that they didn't foresee. And but if you put something out into the world that can do that, I feel like it's your responsibility.
Yeah, they're like architects of the infrastructure that like our brains are operating in. And just like a city planner, they have to anticipate the worst impulses and that there are criminals or people who are out to hurt people and have to protect against that.
Yeah. Should we do another?
All right. Is the culture of the tech industry becoming the default culture?
Yeah, I don't think it's to say that's like the default culture might be giving them too much power, too much credit, though we might have already given the tech industry too much power and too much credit. So I think you said it perfectly that they're creating the infrastructure by which we think, by which we have civil discourse, by which we get our news and talk to our family, and the people creating these platforms, they create them for themselves, or at least what they can imagine. And the imagined user that they have in their head, which isn't everybody. Social relations are infinitely complex. People with different histories and backgrounds and vulnerabilities, as we talked about. That's an example. The Facebook example is they just didn't. It wasn't that they didn't care about those people. They just didn't take into account social vulnerability. That just wasn't a thing that was in their discussions.
Well, I'm sure Tumblr never sought out to be like the home for people with very complex sexualities, right? Not just trans people, but I mean, I don't know how much there's like a very long list of what your sexuality can be on Tumblr. One I've written about is a coy sexuality, which is when your feelings of sexual attraction fade once they're reciprocated, which I think is like kind of the experience of much of the human race. But like some of this is accidental. Like they didn't set out to like make a home for people who felt like sexual minorities.
Right. So it might be giving too much agency to them to say that, oh, they create the world in their image when so many things are generative and unpredictable.
Yeah.
That's cool. We're flying through these. 3 billion people were online in 2015. What predictions can we make about the next 4 billion gaining access to the internet?